everyone, Miss Alison here for another episode of Exploring My City Through Art. And this week we are going to learn about Impressionist paintings. And the Impressionists were French painters in the late 19th century, and they painted with a certain style. I call it dots and dabs, taking the paintbrush and dabbing it and dotting it. So it's a very textured kind of feel. But there were two important things that the Impressionists were really interested in about, and it was the effects of light on an object. So how an object or a landscape or a portrait or something looked with different types of light on it. So for instance, if you wake up in the morning and you look out at the tree outside, the green is going to look very different to when you look at that same tree in the middle of the day, or even in the evening, sunset, right? So they were very interested with light, how light affected objects. And the other thing they were very interested in, color. So using those two. And so they've created really amazing artwork. And we are going to do a landscape painting using that technique. Now, some examples. A famous artist, Claude Monet, he was the leader of the group, the Impressionists. We call him the Impressionist style of painting, and he did similar types of work. And there were other artists. You might know of Van Gogh. The actual pronunciation is Van Gogh, but we say Van Gogh. But here's some examples of the type of work they do. So I bring it up close, and then you can see. You see those little like dots? They're dots, dabs, and then look at the color. You're seeing the river there, but the river is not just blue. You might think it's just blue or green, but look at those colors. So they were not afraid to use color in their work, overlapping different colors, and they knew how to use color very well. So we're going to talk about that. Here's some example. This is a Van Gogh piece. Okay, so portrait of a man, but then look at this. Look at all those strokes and the colors. Even in his skin color, there's green and reds and all different sorts of things. And just the way they painted. So they didn't paint in that kind of flat fashion, left to right, smooth. It wasn't smooth, but they painted in dots and dabs or little strokes, okay? So that's the style of painting that we're going to do today. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to mix some paint, and we are going to do a prep before our actual landscape. So I want you to get just a little piece of paper, and we're going to practice mixing color. It's all about color. The Impressionists were about color, so we're going to practice using color. Okay, let's begin. Okay, so here's my paper here. I have my palette, right? And I am using just the primary colors. If you don't know the primary colors, these are the primary colors. Blue, red, yellow. I like to put my paint in the corners of the palettes and then mix in the middle. So all you need is blue, yellow, and red, and some white. Okay, so I'm just putting out a blob of white there. Now you can use, for your final, all the fancy colors that you have in your set, if you have a paint set. But right now, I just want you to use the primary colors and see what you get, because you can get amazing color combinations with just the primary colors, okay? All right, so I know all of you know this already, so let's talk color. Yellow and blue make, and I know you're all shouting it out now. So yellow and blue make, I'm going to move this around so you can see me mix. So how we mix, if you're not sure how to mix, you don't just dump two colors in there, okay? We go in the center and we mix the color. So I'm scooping out a large amount of yellow. I have my water right here. I'm going to wash it out. And when I wash out my water, I want you to see what I'm doing. Wash out my paintbrush and I tap it and I drag it on the side. Seeing that? So I don't have tons of water on my brush. And then here's my paper towel. I just kind of dab it there, okay? You want to make sure you wash out your brush very well, because then you would mix the colors together and then they become dirty, okay? All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of blue. You notice I'm taking less blue than the yellow I put here. And I'm going to mix. So even if you don't know your primary colors, you don't know how to mix primary colors to get this, which is a secondary color, guess what? We're like scientists. Try it. So you may not know what yellow and blue is. So you take yellow and blue, you mix it, and you get green. So here I have my green. Wash out my brush. Let's mix two other primary colors together and see what that gives us. So let's do yellow and red. So I'm going to scoop out some yellow, wash out my brush, dab it off on my paper towel, get a little red, and I mix. And I get orange. Now I put a lot of red in that, so that's like it's a beautiful color, but I want it to be more orange. Right? So that's a trick where you want to make sure that the lighter color you have more of it and the darker color less of it. So then this is a lighter orange. But now I have two lovely colors there. So that's what we're doing. We're mixing different colors. So we're taking primary colors and we're mixing it into secondary colors. Okay? Green is the secondary color mixed with yellow and blue. Orange is a secondary color mixed with yellow and red. And the third secondary color is, and I know you all know this, red and blue purple. So we're going to put out extra red. And then wash out our brush, dab it off, get my blue, and mix it in. Ooh, we get a purple. Look at that purple. Now, don't be discouraged with the purple. Sometimes it comes out a little darker, brownish. This one came out pretty good. All right. Primary colors, yellow, blue, red. Secondary colors, orange, green, and purple. You have your colors there. Okay, good. Now, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors. And I made another one here. To make it even different now and to really make it interesting, we're going to make tints. T-I-N-T-S. A tint is when you add whiter color. And can you guess what happens when you add whiter color? It gets lighter. So let's add some white to all of these colors we have here. Again, I scoop out. I put it here. I'm going to add some yellow to my white. And then you get a very light yellow. Seeing that? So we're just going to mix these colors. Good, leave it there. We're going to use this on your paper. Okay, we're going to add white to our blue. Always scoop out the lighter color first. Please don't forget. If you do the darker color, you might have to put too much white to make it as light as you want. But if you have the lighter color, you add a little bit of the darker color. And then if it's too light, then you can add more. Look at that. That's a tint of the blue. And remember, you can have many different variations of tints. And let me show you a quick example here of a scale where you see the blue, you keep adding white and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. Red, keep adding white, lighter and lighter and lighter. Yellow, keep adding white, lighter and lighter and lighter. Okay? Good. So I'm mixing one type, but you can add more white in it and get different variations. All right, what's next? Let's do red. Everybody knows what red and white give. Do you? If you don't, that's okay. You can find out yourself. Okay? And even though I'm washing out my brush a lot, I'm making sure to dab it off, the excess water, and to dab it off onto my paper towel. So here I have a lovely pink. Hope you're seeing the color as well. Look at all these colors. Just the primary colors and white I'm making. Okay? Good. Let's add some white to our secondary colors. So I'm going to add a white here, put it right here, and add a little bit of this orange. And we get this lovely orange, like a peach color. Mix it, mix it, mix it. Try not to get any streaks. Gonna do it again. Let me see, where's I have space. It's good to have a large palette so you have space to make all your colors. So in the beginning, you just want to have fun mixing color. So first we mix the secondary colors, and then we're mixing tints, adding white to it. I just added white to the purple I made earlier. Beautiful lavender. Okay, one more. White, and then we're going to add green. Some of this green, and we get a very light green. Like a line, yeah, light green, very light. Good. We are ready. Look at our palette. Yummy, yummy colors. Yummy, yummy colors. Good. I have my palette here, and I have my paper. What we do? This is what we're going to do. We are going to dot and dab in the style of the Impressionists, right? Using all of the beautiful colors we made. It's going to look similar to this. Look at those brush strokes. Dots and dabs, lines, but most importantly, look at the color. Variation of color. Greens getting into light lime greens. Yellows getting into orange, yellow oranges, right? Let's begin. Okay, so I'm not going to wash out my brush. The last color I had on my brush was green, light green. So, look at me. Seeing this? You're dotting and you're dabbing. And what we're going to do, we're not going to try, I don't want to wash the brush too much because I don't want it watery at all. You want thick paint. I'm going to go into the green, the darker green. I didn't wash out my brush. And kind of blend it with that, but not covering the whole thing. I'm not washing out my brush. I'm going to take some yellow. Go right there, next to it. Maybe overlap. Seen how I do this? Sometimes students go in lines. They do like a rainbow line, but in this technique, right? Not going to wash it out. I am going to get into blues. Full blue. Look at this dark blue. But some of my green was in my brush, so I'm getting some beautiful colors there. See that? What about my light blue? Look at this. I'm overlapping. What I don't want you to do is when you get a new color, cover up an area that you did again. And then cover it again. You don't want to cover it. You keep wanting to see the colors you did. You can overlap them a bit and then go back out. Now, once you want to go, I have blues and yellows and oranges. I know if I go into the reds, I'm going to get mud. It's going to get muddy looking. So I'm washing out my brush. I want to go into the oranges and reds right here. So my oranges and reds. And look at that. Little yellow. You seeing what I did? We mixed all these beautiful colors. And now we're just dotting and dabbing, having fun, but really understanding color. If you never thought you understood color, look at this. As colors change and shift, right? The color that might have been on your brush before. And if you notice, I am not washing out my brush with colors that are of the same family. When I say family, they're next to each other on the color wheel. So we have reds and oranges, yellow oranges, yellows, light yellows, peaches, whites, right? All that family. What I did before, blues, greens, yellows, purples, another family, right? Well, the purples can go into the reds. But you can get a little purple with the blues. Blues go into the purple. But you don't want to mix those colors to create that. So you see what I'm getting here? So I want you to continue and fill the whole page with your experimentation. Now, what we don't want is a bunch of muddy colors, like just browns, because you've mixed all the colors together. Or sometimes when you mix all the colors together, you get a murky gray, okay? But you want to be able to see each color and variations of it. And remember, when you add white to a color, it is a tint, okay? Good. So again, this was the study that we did, the exercise, right? And an example of it. And then this is another example of one. Look at that. These can be finished paintings too. I actually put tape on the edge, and then I did this and then pulled the tape off. This is painter's tape though, so it doesn't rip, right? So it just has a border, but you don't have to do that. I'm just showing you. But look at these brushes, dots and dabs of colors, just primary colors with white, mixed. You saw how we mixed color? We were mixing color like the Impressionists. Look at that. Beautiful. Excellent. Okay, so you finish up your study with exploring color, exploring tints, which is adding white to color. Fill the whole page. You can do as many of these as you want. If you want to do another one, it's really fun. Students always say it's so much fun and it's satisfying to do. So when you finish that, then we'll go on to part 2, where we will do our composition of our landscape painting. Okay? Great. Okay, so we're back and we're going to get a piece of scrap paper, sketch paper, so that you can figure out what your composition is going to be. Our final, I'm going to do mine on canvas board. So you might have canvas board, or you can do it on canvas, or even on paper. So you can do it on a larger size paper, a little heavier so that it can take the paint, okay? But we're going to use canvas board. But I'm not just going to go straight in and draw on my canvas board. I'm going to sketch first on my scrap paper. Now, before I choose anything, I want to decide how we're going to hold our canvas or paper or canvas board. Are we going to do it portrait style? Portrait style is when it's vertical. So, like this. And landscape style is when it's horizontal, like this. Okay? So, you choose if you want it vertical or horizontal. Now, when you decide that, you're going to draw a little box of how you want it. I'm going to hold mine horizontal, right? And I've taught this before, where we talk about the horizon line. The horizon line is where the sky meets the water or the sky meets the earth. We talked about this in some of our other projects, okay? So if you've seen the other ones, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So this has a low horizon line, okay? The low horizon line, so the line goes like this. That means all here would be sky, and here would be the land or the sea. And then we will see things come above, like if there's a tree or mountains, etc. But the first thing I want you to do when you draw a composition, especially a landscape composition, is draw in that horizon line. But you decide where. This is another example. This one is a high horizon line. So all of this could be water or the earth, land, and this little part would be the sky. Okay? So it's up to you. You decide that first. Then you decide what you want your composition to look like. So here's some examples of mine. Right? So I have my block. And your block, you want to draw it the same as what your board is. So if you want to hold it horizontally, you're not going to draw your block vertical. You want to draw it horizontal the same way. So it will look similar when you copy it over. Okay, good. So this is one example of mine. I put the horizon line high. I put a little sailboat. I put sky. I wrote sky in so you would see this is the sky. You're not going to write that in. Sand and sea in a little sailboat. Right? This one has a high horizon as well. Not as high as this one. But we have sand, we have a tree, we have sea. Okay? look at some other examples. With this here, right? This one, low horizon line. Look at that line, low horizon line. We have a little house and a tree, clouds, okay? You can do anything you want. Again, we like to relate it to New Bedford. So if you have a favorite scene in New Bedford, or if you have, you know, one time when I did the Butler Flats, which is a lighthouse in New Bedford in the South End, I've done a lot of work in New Bedford in terms of the different parts of New Bedford, using many different techniques, including this Impressionist technique. So you come up with an idea of any landscape that you would like to do. But the first thing you need to do is decide where your horizon line is. Good? All right. When you're finished, and I always like to do more than one, so I have 4. But you can do, I say do at least 2, so then you could choose the best one, you know? So try at least 2 and choose the best one and decide what you want. All right, so I am going to choose this one here. So you decide, this is the one I did. I've chosen these for other ones. I have an example of this one to show you, and one of this, I think. So I'm going to do this one here. All right, so I go in with my canvas board, and I'm going to turn it this way so I can sketch, and I'm going to copy what I see, okay? I know that I have a low horizon line, so I'm going to do my low horizon. Look at how I'm sketching lightly. I'm not digging into the page, all right? Good, but I could still see. And then I have a sun here with some rays, right? But you're not going to see the rays. You'll probably see more yellow on that side, okay? It have birds. We have the sky. We have some clouds maybe. With the birds, I make these little kind of V's. Ooh, you're probably not going to see it. I'm going to have to do it harder. But what I want you to see is the smaller the bird, the illusion that it's further away. The larger the bird, the illusion that it is closer. What else is in my composition? Mountains. Right? What else? Oh, I have a river. So let me just go over that horizon line so you can see. Now, when you do something like a river, that's perspective. I'm not going to go all into perspective, but it's going to take you, it's going to look wider, closer to us, and smaller as it goes away. I like to do it at an angle. Right? So almost like, so this could be a path like a road, or it could be a river. I do it at an angle because you feel like if you're walking or going right into the horizon, it creates depth. And then you could add whatever else. I have some bushes or reeds. Whatever is large in front sometimes can be large past the mountains into the sky, because what's in front of you will always look larger, even though it's smaller than the mountains, right? So you see my little sketch? I have my sketch there. I'm ready to paint in my Impressionist style. How about that? Okay, I have my studies, put that to the side, and we're ready. So get everything ready. Change your water because we dirtied up our water when we mix the colors. Refresh your paints. You can. That's why I don't like to mix in the actual ones, the yellow, the blue, the red. So you can fill those back in, and then you can mix more of these colors. Okay, good. Now, you can use all of your fancy colors if you have them, but I like to challenge myself and just use the primary colors. And if you are going to do the same thing, I want you to see how you can make brown. Now, brown is the three, you use the 3 primary colors together to make brown. You have to take your time when you mix, because sometimes it doesn't come out right away and it might frustrate you. Just wash out your brush and start again on another part. So I'm going to take some yellow. I'm going to take more yellow and less of the other colors, and then you could keep adding if it's not the brown that you want, or it's not turned out to brown. So I have yellow here, I'm going to put a little red. See that? Wash it out a little bit. I'm going to take a little blue. The blue is the darkest, so I'm just going to take a little bit, not much, right? And I'm going to mix the three primary colors together. Look at that. I'm starting to get brown. Are you seeing that? It's like a light brown. You can add white to it and make it lighter. I put some here. I'm going to add some white. Look at that. That could be like sand. I could take some yellow and add to that. You know, a yellowish brown. Okay, so remember, brown is the three primary colors mixed together. So that was just a little bit for you to see how to do brown. All right, so we're going to start painting, and we're painting in that fashion of dots and dabs. We're not painting smooth, long strokes. We're painting in the fashion that we just did an exercise of the dots and the dabs. All right, before we start, we want to look and see what are the largest areas. We want to paint the largest areas first, and we want to paint background to foreground. Background, what's behind. And then see the things that are in front, like these bushes, these leaves coming up. They will be one of the last things because it's on top of the background, right? It's on top of the sky. It's on top of the mountain, right? So we want to do the sky, the mountain, and then these. You got me? Some people go in and paint their birds first. No, the birds will be one of the last things you put in because they're on top of the sky. You understand what I'm saying? So let's decide. So let's do our sky first. Now, you decide. Do you want a sunset sky? Do you want a blue sky? Do you want a blue sky with some oranges? Remember, the Impressionists love adding different colors. So feel free to do this. You know, don't feel it has to be just all blue. And I want to see variations. I don't want you to just use one type of blue all through. So look at my light blue. Go a little darker at the top. When I look at the sky, I see it's darker at the top. And then close to the horizon, it appears that it gets lighter. So I'm just going to go in like that. Now I have the sun there, but I can go over with the yellow to make it like, you know, lighter. Look at how I'm adding white. I just add pure white with my brush here. Dabbed it right in there, and I lightened it right up. What I like to do is I like to think about, well, where's the sun? Where's the light coming from? It's going to be lighter on that side. I want my sun coming from there. It's going to be lighter. Dot, 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 dot. Right? See that? Good. I can add some other things. I have some beautiful purple that we had there. It didn't dry. I've seen purple in the sky before. Blues and purples. Look at what I'm getting. Some beautiful lavenders. I am not afraid that I am covering up my birds. If you don't see it, that's fine. You do the birds at the end. You just draw them over and paint them. You see? Want a little pink in the sky? I want some pink in the sky. I'm going to mix my blue with, and I got like another lavender. Let's make some pink. We know how to make all these colors just a short while ago we learned. Right? Just a short while ago. Look at that. Look at that pink. You put it down. If you think it's too bright for the sky, what? Just put some white in there and we lighten it up. Don't be afraid to have a color you think it's not supposed to be. The Impressionists saw so many different colors. They really paid close attention to how light affected an object or a landscape. And they weren't afraid to put different colors in different things. Put some white and just totally lightened up that area. Going back in with my blues. Look at that. You just don't want to get mud. So look at my sky. Purples and blues and pinks. Oh my goodness. Right? Mountains. I'm going to use some of this purple. It's dark. It's almost like the brown. And go in with my mountains. You don't have to make the mountain green or brown. And I've seen purple mountains before. It all depends on the light. It's all the light. Depending on the type of light or the time of day, like certain mountains look blue, some look fiery, right? So I use some of my brown and I use some of that purple I made. And I have my, okay, I'm going pretty quick, but you take your time and do each area. And you can vary your brush strokes too. Some large brush strokes, some small. You can vary your brush. This is the size of brush I'm using. But then you can switch it up and get a smaller one. Especially if you're going to in areas that need more detail. Okay? Sometimes you have even a smaller. Alright, let's go in with some greens for our grass in the foreground. We're coming into, you notice how we're working in layers. Okay. I want to add a little more blue to some of my green, not all, some. Because as it gets further away on the horizon line, I want it to look darker. And as it gets closer, it's going to be lighter. And the dots and dabs does give the feel like it's grass. I'm going right over the leaves and the like reeds or bushes that are coming up. Because that's in the top, the front. So I'm going right over them and then I can just go on top of this. Right, I wanted to get more yellowish, so I'm going to add some yellow to some of my green. Are you seeing what I'm doing? I have my green there, but I added another color. Look at that. Like a lemon green. Look at that. Okay. We have our path or river. I wonder what should it be? A river or a path? Like a road going somewhere? Okay. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's coming out so good. You notice that no area in my work has just one flat color. It's graded darker to lighter, darker to lighter. It moves all around. There's a movement to it. And this style creates that kind of movement. Okay? I think I'm going to do a road and not a river. So I'm going to, this brown that I did here, I'm going to use that right in here. Kind of like sand. It could be like a sandy path going to the ocean. Or it could just be a path. A dusty path. Okay, look at that. Pretty much done. But if you want to do anything on top, then it goes on top of it. You let it dry, and then you can go on top of it. Mine is still wet. But I want to show you how I can do these, the leaves that I was telling you about. I want to make a little more green. You remember how to make green? So I mixed the green right where I had the green before. I put yellow, and I'm going to put my blue. Right? I'm going to add a little white and lighten it up. Okay. Now I wanted these lines, and I'm still doing dots and dabs. Now, as you can see, because of time, I'm going in when it's wet. I would like you to let it dry, because then you will get mud, okay? And this is what I will get if I continue. But I just want you to see what happens. You're going to go over, okay? When it's dry, gonna go over. So if you have a tree, or I just have some bushes coming up here, it goes over that, right? You wanted birds. I would go in with a small brush, like a detail brush. People usually like to, students love to go in with their birds and make it like black, use a black paint. But let me just tell you a little story of that, is that the Impressionists didn't use black, okay? They can mix those colors. If they wanted a dark color, they can mix a dark color. You can't mix black, but they found if you use an area of flat black, it almost creates like a hole. If you wanted to use a little bit of black and add to a color, that's okay. So I just, I mixed some blue into the brown I got. I got a really dark, like a brown or blue. And I'm making my birds. Are you seeing this? I want to make a little more of that brown. Deep color. And we make that, and you remember, I do like the dots and the dabs. In really light areas, I would allow you to just do a thin line. Because if it's really thin, a small detailed area, it's hard to get the dots. So I would, I don't mind you just doing like the line. Okay, you can't always get the dots in there. So let's get some smaller birds. So the smaller birds are going to be tiny. Look at that. It gives the impression that these birds are further away than these bigger ones. Look at that. And there you have it. An Impressionist painting. This is a really fun exercise. Thank you for seeing these, coming here today. Look at this. This is what we got today, right? Let me show you some examples of what we had before. Okay, so look at the sky. This sky is fiery, like a sunset. And see what we have? Our horizon, is it high or is it low? A high horizon, higher horizon. Then we have the sea, and then we have the land with a lighthouse and a little boat. We have the reflection of the sun coming here. Okay? Look at that. Same dots and dabs, Impressionist style. That was an example. Another example, look at this tree. A low horizon. The tree is nice and large. You see it? You got the browns. You notice one side of the tree is lighter, one side is darker. Always think of that. Like, where is the sun coming from? Look at this one. I love palm trees. I'm from the Caribbean, so I love palm trees. Okay, again, the sunset sky. But look at the dots and dabs, the colors. Okay, so that is it. Impressionist paintings, everyone. These are so fun. And if you were to ever visit the library, the New Bedford Free Public Library downtown, there are some paintings, Impressionist paintings in their collection, in their permanent collection on the 3rd floor. We talked about the permanent collection with the curator, Ali Copeland, when she talked about the Audubon birds. So that's one of the episodes. And so when you go to see the Audubon birds, you can also go and see some of the Impressionist paintings. So just ask them to show you and point out the Impressionist paintings. So that's it for today. And for another episode of Exploring My City Through Art. Hope to see you soon. Bye.